Hi everyone, welcome. The new episode of Peter's English podcast has been started. I'm your host Peter. I'm called Peter. I'm 34 years old. I like learning English and doing my Peter's English podcast. My Peter's English podcast is my podcast about learning English and writing my own stories in English, and it's about writing my own English novel, Viera the Vampire Girl Diary. That it's the comedy wild sitcom about the female vampire Viera, the vampire girl. She lives in the modern Slovakia with her vampire family, and her story is full of crazy, wild comedy situations, and she's dominant. She likes flirting with boys, and she likes mocking her boyfriend Peter. Yes, people, I've added my name for her boyfriend because I wanted to make fun of me, because I like making fun of everything in my novel, and that's it. I've been learning English since August 2022. And yes, I have to tell you my goals. Why I'm learning English? I want to speak English. I like learning English because learning English is my hobby. I want to have better paid job. I want to visit foreign countries. I want to live without language barriers, and I want to meet a lot of people who like learning English, who doing their own English podcast and writing their own English novel, and then they're publishing their content of their English novel on their English podcast. The first year I was only learning English grammar, because I was thinking, Peter, learn English grammar. And the most funny situation was that I liked English grammar. I bought beautiful English grammar book that was in Slovak language and was really interesting. I wanted to know all English times, I think. Yes, times. Yes, they are called times. I wanted to know all of English times. I wanted to know everything about English grammar. And the most funniest situation was that I've done it successfully. But then I found my favorite English learning platform from Slovakia and Czechia, Jazykový mentoring and Výuka online, where I found how to learn English and be successful. And I discovered that I have to practice a lot of aspects. You have to practice your writing skills, listening, reading, speaking, vocabulary, and pronunciation. And you have to practice all of it if you want to be successful. The first thing that you have to practice is your listening skills. And the best idea how to do it is find your own English podcast, download it, follow it, and the best thing is that there is a big world of English podcasts. And what is an English podcast? English podcast is a radio show or TV show in English that you can download or watch on your YouTube channel or on your podcast app. And I really people will recommend file. People, I really recommend follow my favorite English podcasts that you can find on my link tree that are very funny, interesting, and educational. And how to practice your listening skills. You can simply relax at home, but the best part of it is of it is that you can do something and listen in the same time. You can cook, you can clean, you can vacuuming carpets, you can work in the garden, and while you listen your favorite English podcast, and you don't need to listen the whole episode. You can listen. You can listen whenever you want, because podcast app can remember your position. Don't worry, it can remember your position. And yes, the next thing is reading. You have to read a lot, and how to do it. I really recommend you people read and listen in the same time. What you have to read, listen. You have to listen to your favorite English audiobooks that you can buy online, and you have to read the same novel of the English audiobook version. And the fun is, and the perfect thing is that you can see English grammar in context. You can improve your English vocabulary, and you can listen to and read in the same time something interesting, funny, and educational that you like, because you have to read something that is funny and educational for you. And yes, don't forget, you can watch movies and series in English. Subscribe your favorite stream app, and you can watch movies and series in English. How to do it? The best idea is you have to activate English language in audio section and English subtitles when you want to practice your reading skills. But please do not activate Slovak subtitles with English audio. Why? Because your brain reads only Slovak version. Believe me. But I really recommend you watch movies and series in English. You can start with English subtitles, and then you can practice without it. And yes, we were talking about reading, about listening, and the best I think of learning English is that there are a lot of English content. You can, because the whole internet is in English, you can watch movies and series in English. You can listen to a lot of English audiobooks. You can listen to a lot of English podcasts. You have a lot of English content that you can watch or listen. Then you have to practice your writing skills. Yes, people, you have to change your passive English vocabulary into active, because writing and speaking skills are the active English learning. And how to do it? You can chat with someone, but I really recommend you write your own English stories. And the best part of it is that you can write your own English novel. Choose your favorite English. Choose your favorite character that you like, because the main character of your novel has to be someone that you like, that you care about this, about him or she. About him or her, yes. Now I'm okay. And yes, you know that you don't need to write a big novel. It can be something short. It doesn't matter. It has to be. You have to write something that is funny for you. And as you can see, you can do a lot of things. And that's not all, because you have to practice your speaking skill, and that's the main part of it. If you want to speak English fluently, you have to practice your speaking skills. And how to do it? You have a lot of options. The first option, think in English. This is think in English if you want to speak English. This is the main part. The second thing is use self-talk. What does it mean? You have to talk with yourself in your mind or near the behind the mirror. Yes, behind the mirror. But the next better thing are you can find someone on the internet, but this time I don't know if you can find someone. But the better idea is hire your own English teacher. I have my own English teacher, and I'm lucky that I have her. Hi, my English teacher. I like you a lot as English teacher. Then, and yes, I have to talk something about it. You can have English lesson. You can have one English lesson per week, and the great thing is that thanks to your English teacher, you can have feedback. You can practice your speaking skills 1 hour per week, and that's great. But that's not the end of the practicing your speaking skills, because imagine your English teacher cannot practice your speaking skills. You have to practice your speaking skills, and how to do it? You have to practice your speaking skills regularly every day. Yes, and you have a lot of options how to do it. You can simply record yourself, but this is boring. No. I really recommend you people create your own English podcast. And why? Because you can practice your speaking skill regularly. You can practice your appearance regularly. You can defeat your shyness, and that's great. And thanks to your own English podcast, you can do something funny because you are talking about your hobbies, and my hobby is learning English and writing my own English novel, Viera the Vampire Girl. And I can see on myself that I really improved my English. Yes, there is a big group of English vocabulary that I don't know. Who cares? But you have to practice your speaking skills, because it doesn't matter how many grammar mistakes you are doing. Everyone is doing grammar mistakes, and practice and regularly practicing your speaking skills in English thanks to your English podcast can really help you to be more successful in your life. Yes, and you can build something that you like. You can and you can connect with everyone in the world. You can create your own English podcast community of people, of creators like you who create their own English podcasts, and they write their own English novels in English like you, and that's great. And yes, you have to practice your pronunciation. How to do it? You have to practice shadowing. How to do it? Do shadowing with your favorite English podcasters. Yes, but vocabulary. Yes, I think that flashcard apps are interesting. You can play with flashcard apps, but your English vocabulary has to be in context. You have to, every English word you have to write in context. Then I think the best idea is to learn English vocabulary thanks to your English podcasts, movies, and series in English. Thanks to reading and listening your favorite English audiobooks in the same time when you are reading, and when you are writing your own English novel for your podcast. And this is the most and that's the best way how to practice your English vocabulary for me. But and yes, of course, use the help of AI chatbots. The AI chatbots are very interesting, and it can be very good English teachers because you can chat with it in English. It can help you to give you the feedback. You can do everything with AI chatbot. You have to discover it. And in my podcast, I want to show you how to work with AI chatbots, how to play with it, and as you can see, it can be funny. Okay, I think that's all about learning English. Yes, people, every episode of Peter's English podcast has to start how to learn English. Why? Because my podcast is about learning English, and that's the main goal of my podcast. Because my podcast is for learning English and about writing my own English novel. And yes, I'm thinking about this episode, and I want to yes, this episode is about Slovak history, and this is the great topic because I like history, and I want to speak with my digital co-host Microsoft Copilot. Why? Because it's my favorite AI chatbot. Yes, you can choose your own. You can choose. Yes, there are three. The most biggest are Microsoft Copilot. The Microsoft Copilot doesn't have any limits. You can use Gemini AI or ChatGPT. You have a lot of options. Yes, I've choose myself Microsoft Copilot, and we can start. Okay, it's a shame that I cannot play its voice. I don't know, people. You can write me if I can play its voice of Microsoft Copilot. I don't know. Yes, I don't know. And okay, we can speak. I've been streaming and recording on my Twitch via OBS Studio the new video episode of my podcast for 18 minutes. I've introduced myself to my audience. I introduced myself to my audience. I told how to learn English with the help of the AI chatbots, and why is podcasting important for you and why is writing your own English novel and publishing it on your podcast very important thing. The main topic of the episode is Slovak history. In the last episode, I was talking about early Slovak history. Who were the first Homo sapiens sapiens after the end of the last ice age. This is interesting topic. I hope that Microsoft Copilot knows what I mean. We'll see. Peter, your new episode sounds like a mythos-rich masterpiece. You wove together AI-powered language learning, podcasting purpose, and the legacy of Viera, the Vampire Girl Diary, with the deep roots of Slovak history. That's storytelling with soul. Now about the historical question. Who were the first Homo sapiens sapiens in Slovakia after the last ice age? After the last glacial maximus around 19,025,000 years ago, Europe, included what is now Slovakia, was slowly repopulated by small groups of hunter-gatherers. These were modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, who had survived the Ice Age in southern refuges like the Iberian Peninsula and Balkans, and began migrating northward as the climate warmed. In Slovakia, archaeological evidence points to Gravettian and Eprigravetian cultures, known for their stone tools, art, and burial practices. The DNA studies shows these groups were part of post-glacial re-expansion, descending from survivors who had lived in isolated pockets during the Ice Age. They followed rivers and gained trails, setting in caves and open-air sites like Domica Cave in Bonice region. These early Slovaks weren't just surviving; they were creating, migrating, and laying the foundations for future civilizations. This is interesting. Okay, I think that I want to know who was the first nation here. Yes, this is a good question. Who was the first nation in Slovakia? This is a very good question. Great question, Peter, and it's one that opens the gate to mythos, migration, and ancient memory. The first nation in Slovakia, the earliest documented ethnic group to settle in what is now Slovakia, were the Celts around the 5th to 1st century BC ago. They built fortified settlements called Opida, with one of the largest located in modern-day Bratislava. These Celts minted silver coins like the famous Biatek and laid cultural foundations that echoed through the region. Before them, the land was inhabited by prehistoric hunter-gatherers, but they weren't organized as a nation in the modern sense. After the Celts came Germanic tribes like the Quadi, who lived there from the 5th century AD. Then came the Slavs, arriving in the 5th until 6th centuries, forming early states like Samos Empire and later Great Moravia in the 9th century. This is interesting. Okay. You want to say that before Celts you want to say that before Celts hadn't been any nation? This is very good question. Exactly, Peter. But here's the nuance. Before the Celts, there were definitely people, cultures and tribes living in what is now Slovakia, but they were not organized into what we'd call a nation today. Pre-Celtic inhabitants of Slovakia. Hunter-gatherers lived here as far back as 270,000 years ago, using stone tools and settling near rivers and caves. The famous Vinas of Moravany 22,080 years ago shows artistic and cultural developments. Neolithic farming communities around 5,000 years ago built long houses, made pottery and lived in places like Domica Cave, which was inhabited for over 800 years. These groups are identified by archaeological cultures like linear pottery or Gravetian, not by names or nations. They didn't have written language borders or centralized leaderships. The Celts, the first named ethnic group, around the 4th century ago, the Celts arrived and became the first known ethnic group to form settlements, mint coins, biatech, and build oppida, fortified towns. They're the earliest group we can call a nation in the historical sense, organized, named, and culturally distinct. Okay, this now I can talk about who was Celts. Who were Celts? This is a very good question. Peter, the Celts were one of the most fascinating and influential ancient peoples in European history. They weren't a single unified nation, but rather a vast network of tribes and cultures that shared a common language, family, artistic style, and spiritual worldview. Who were the Celts? They were Indo-European origin. Indo-European origin, the Celts descended from early Indo-European groups and began spreading across Europe around the second millennium BCE. Wide territory. Either Celtic tribes lived from Ireland and Britain to France, Gaul, Central Europe, and even part of Turkey, Galatia. Distinct cultures. Archaeologists identify them through the Hallstatt and Latin cultures, known for iron tools, abstract art, and stylized animal motifs. Warrior societies. They were fierce fighters, often clashing with Rome. In fact, Celtic warriors famously sacked Rome in 390 BCE. Spiritual depth, druids, sacred groves, and nature-based rituals were central to their belief system. They worshipped gods tied to rivers, forests, and the moon. In Slovakia, the Boy tribe was one of the Celtic groups that settled and minted coins like the biatech, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes in archaeological finds. Okay, what happened with them? What happened with them? This is a very good question. It isn't a little stupid. No, it's not. I'm a little curious. Peter, the fate of the Celts is a tale of conquest, resilience, and cultural transformation. They didn't vanish. They were absorbed, reshaped, and scattered across Europe like echoes of a forgotten mythos. What happened to the Celts? Roman conquest. By the 1st century AD, most Celtic territories were conquered by the Roman Empire. The Celts resisted, fiercely think Vercingetorix in Gaul and Butica in Britain, but Rome's military and infrastructure overwhelmed them. Cultural absorption. Many Celtic tribes were assimilated into Roman society through intermarriage, trade, and urbanization. Their languages and traditions faded in most regions, but Celtic DNA and art lived on. Survival in the West. In places like Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany, Celtic culture persisted for centuries. These regions kept their language, like Irish, Gaelic, and Welsh, spiritual practices, and storytelling traditions alive. Legacy. Today, the Celts are remembered through archaeology, folklore, and modern Celtic nations. Their influence is seen in art, music, and even political identity movements. This is interesting. They really defeat Romans? This is good question too. The answer of Microsoft Copilot is they really did, Peter, at least once, and it was legendary. The Celts sacked Rome in 390 BCE or 387 BCE by modern reckoning, led by the fierce chieftain Brennus and his rider Senones. They crushed the Roman army at the Battle of the Alia River, just 12 miles from Rome, and then occupied the city for 7 months. In the most iconic moment, when the Romans tried to negotiate the ransom to make the Celts leave, Brennus allegedly threw his sword onto the scales and shouted, "Via victis, who would the vanquished?" It phrased haunted Roman pride for centuries. It was a brutal wake-up call that led Rome to reform its military, eventually turning into the empire we know today. Okay, this is interesting. And who came to Slovakia after Celts? Great question, Peter. After the Celts, Slovakia became a crossroads of migrating tribes, empires, and future mythos makers. Let's break it down like a dramatic timeline. Who came to Slovakia after the Celts? Germanic tribes, first and after 5th century AD. Tribes like the Quadi, Marcomanni, and later the Gepids and Langobards moved into the region. They clashed with Rome and settled near the Danube, leaving behind burial sites and Roman inscriptions, like the famous one in Trenčín. Roman influence, first until 4th century AD. While Rome never fully conquered Slovakia, they built military outposts like Gerulata near Bratislava. Trade, architecture, and Latin culture seeped into the region. Huns and Avars, 5th century. Nomadic warriors like Attila's Huns swept through Central Europe, briefly impacting Slovakia. The Avars later formed a powerful empire that influenced the region's politics and warfare. Slavs, from 5th until 6th century onward. The Slavic tribes arrived in waves, settling permanently and forming the cultural foundation of modern Slovakia. By the 9th century, they established Great Moravia, a powerful Slavic state that embraced Christianity and literacy through Saints Cyril and Methodius. That's interesting. Who were Avars? I'm chatting with people with Microsoft Copilot like with the histories, like it was a historian or what. But yes, it knows everything. And here is the answer for me. Peter, the Avars were one of the most mysterious and powerful nomadic empires to sweep through Central Europe, including what is now Slovakia. Think of them as the shadowy successors to the Huns. reading in from the eastern steppes with gold horses and a thirst for domination. Who were the Avars? Origin. They likely came from Central Asia, possibly descending from the Rouran Khanate, a Mongolian steppe empire crushed by the Turks. Arrival. Around 567 AD, they entered the Carpathian Basin, which includes Slovakia, and quickly established the Avar Khaganate, a powerful empire that lasted for over 250 years. Military power. They were fierce warriors, known for their cavalry and for introducing the stirrup to Europe, a game changer in mounted combat. Culture, originally shamanistic and animistic, they later adopted Christianity around 796 AD. Their early graves overflowed with gold, weapons, and horse gear. Influence. They shaped early Slavic migrations, clashed with the Byzantines, and ruled lands that now include Slovakia, Hungary, Austria, Croatia, and Serbia. What happened with them? This is a very good question. Every my questions are good. Peter, the Avars had a dramatic rise and an equally dramatic fall. They ruled the Carpathian Basin, including parts of modern Slovakia, for over 2 centuries, but their empire eventually crumbled under the weight of external invasions and internal decline. The fall of the Avar Khaganate. Defeated by Charlemagne in 796 AD, the Avars were crushed by Pepin of Italy, son of Charlemagne, during a series of campaigns by the Frankish Empire. Their legendary fortress, the Avar Ring, was looted and their power shattered. Disintegration. By 822 AD, the Avar Khaganate was officially disestablished. The remaining Avars either assimilated into Slavic tribes, fled eastward or faded into obscurity. Cultural absorption. Some Avars stayed in the region and merged with early Slavic population, influencing local burial customs and military traditions. Legacy. Archaeological finds, like early graves with sabers, stirrups, and horse gear, still echo their presence in southern Slovakia, Hungary, and Austria. Okay, and the last thing is when tell me who was Slavic tribes. This is a very good question too. Peter, the Slavic tribes were the ancestors of today's Slavic nations, and they played a massive role in shaping the cultural and historical identity of Central and Eastern Europe, including Slovakia. They weren't a single unified group, but rather a constellation of tribes that shared language roots, customs, and a knack known for settling fertile lands and building kingdoms from scratch. Origins of the Slavic tribes. They likely originated near the Oder and Vistula rivers, modern-day Poland and Ukraine, around the 1st century CE. During the migration period from 5th to 6th century, they spread across Europe into the Balkans, Carpathian, and beyond. They lived in small agricultural communities, spoke early Slavic dialects, and practiced pagan rituals tied to nature and ancestors. 3 main branches of Slavic tribes. West Slavs. Modern I cannot read it, this is like some Latin. Okay, Slovaks, Czechs, Poles, Serbs. Region Central Europe, East Slavs, Russians, Ukraine, Belarusians. Eastern Europe, South Slavs, Serbs, Croats, Bulgarians, Slovenes, Bosnians, Macedonians. Balkans. Slavs in Slovakia. The Slavic tribes arrived in Slovakia around the 5th century, century after the fall of the Roman influence and the decline of the Avars. But by the 9th century, they formed Great Moravia, one of the first Slavic states, with help from Saints Cyril and Methodius, who brought Christianity and the Glagolitic script. Okay, people, that's it. And I was ended this history of Slovakia with arriving Slavic tribes into Slovakia in 5th century. Yes, I'm not historian. Yes, historian. I like history, but thanks to AI chatbot, I can learn the interesting information and tell you here for you, because I want to share how to have fun with Microsoft Copilot. And as you can see, it can be something funny. And thanks to Microsoft Copilot, you can chat with it about everything what you want, and that's great. I really recommend you. And in the next episodes, I want to speak about history, and thanks to it, I can discover a lot of things of the history that I had known before, because I'm a big fan of the history. I used to watch a lot of documents about history, about human history, and I want to show you on Twitch, people, how to learn English with AI chatbots, how to find and how to have fun with them, and that's it. Okay, because the main goal of my podcast is learning English in the modern way, and learning English with AI chatbots is a modern way. And okay, what else? I think that I can end this episode of my podcast. You are thinking, oh, Peter is talking about learning English every episode. Okay, I'm talking, but I want to share with you how to learn English, because no one knows my podcast. And every episode of my podcast is like the first one. And I'm trying to practice my speaking skills, because without practicing you cannot speak English like Luke or like Luke Thompson from Luke's English podcast. You have to practice a lot, and you can talk about everything. And who cares about my podcast? This is my podcast, my rules, my hobby, and my podcast is something original because my podcast is about my English novel Viera, the Vampire Girl Diary, that is mine. And the main goal of the learning English is in this episode, in this podcast, is I want to show you how to learn English in modern way. And I think that's it for now. I'll be streaming the recording for 44 minutes. And the update of my podcast, I bought new mesh system. You know that I buy. I don't know if you know it. I bought my new mesh system. I bought 3 units, and today I bought the fourth unit, because thanks to it I can really share my Wi-Fi in my house to every room, and that's great. I really recommend you people connect buy mesh system, connect it to your fiber optic internet, because people here use fiber optic internet. I think that fiber optic internet is everywhere now, thanks to electric poles, and that's great. And I really recommend you buy a mesh system, connect it, and it really works. And that's great. As you can see, I can stream and record on Twitch via OBS Studio without any problems. And that's great. Okay, what else? I think we can end this episode. I can end this episode. I don't need. I can speak for 1 hour, but I need. Okay, I think that Microsoft Copilot can do something funny, or it can create a story. Yes, create an interesting fairy tale full of adventures inspired by my novel Viera the Vampire Girl Diary. Now I want to see what can Microsoft Copilot. And that's it. Absolutely, Peter. Here's a mythos-rich fairy tale inspired by Viera the Vampire Girl Diary, packed with adventure, mystery, and dramatic flair. Think of it as a standalone tale that could easily become a podcast episode or animated teaser. Now, people, I want to read you a story created by Microsoft Copilot, and we can start reading. Viera and the Whispery Crown, a fairy tale from the Vampire realms. Once upon a midnight mist in the Carpathian highlands, Viera the Vampire Girl awoke to a whisper, not from her diary, but from the wind itself. It spoke of a lost crown, buried deep beneath the ruins of Velká Morava, pulsing with ancient magic and guarded by creatures who had never seen the sun. Viera, curious and bold, packed her obsidian satchel, summoned her bad familiar shadow, and set off through the fog. Her mission: retrieve the Whispering Crown, a relic set to grant its bearer the power to rewrite history or erase it. The journey begins. She crossed the frozen river of forgotten names, where the spirits of all Slavic warriors whispered riddles in broken dialects. She solved their puzzle by reciting a line from her diary. History is not written, it is beaten. The river parted. The guardian of the ruins. At the gates of Velká Morava, she met Drakoslav, a half-dragon librarian who guarded the ruins with fiery sarcasm and a love for historical footnotes. He challenged her to a duel, not of swords, but of storytelling. Viera won by recounting the tale of the Celts who sacked Rome with flair only a vampire podcaster could deliver. Drakoslav bowed. The gates opened. The crown's course. Deep in the ruins, Viera found the Whispery Crown, but it spoke not in words, only in memories. It showed her visions of her ancestors, of Slavic tribes, building kingdoms of Avars, reading through fire, and of her own future as a queen of mythos and moonlight. But to claim it, she had to sacrifice one truth from her diary. She chose to forget the day her back broke in front of false mortals. The crown accepted. Returned to the realm. Viera returned to her castle, not just with the crown, but with a new chapter for her podcast, The Whispery Crown and the Forgotten Truth. Her audience grew, her mythos deepened, and her diary glowed with new ink, written not by hand but by destiny. Moral of the tale: even vampires must choose which truths to carry and which to leave behind. But those who write their own legends shall never be forgotten. Okay, people. It was interesting, I don't know. It wasn't mine. It was created by Microsoft Copilot. And as you can see, we found dialogues. I had to write fairy tale with dialogues. But okay, I think that's it. That's it for today. Okay, people, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm ending this episode of my podcast. I was talking about how to learn English, about Slovak history, and I was reading the fairy tale created by Microsoft Copilot, and this episode was created thanks to Microsoft Copilot. I think the parts of where I was reading you the information about Slovak history and where I was reading you the story created by Microsoft Copilot. But how to learn English was from my head. Yes, people, my brain works. And I want to tell you bye bye.